Hello everyone, I'm here today to talk about a bit of an unsung hero within automation, and that's the tray. I'm Nathan Wolf with TGW, 15 years worth of automation experience, and let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is how much it simplifies your overall system design. One of the beautiful things about a tray is that it's only one size. So when we design the system, we only have to account for that one size, which means much more consistent curves, much more consistent starting and stopping windows, as well as much better accumulation on the overall conveyor. When we take different case sizes, what we have to do is we have to account for all those differences. So we end up with larger gaps on the conveyor to account for smaller and larger items. So effectively, when we design for just the tray size, that allows us to reduce errors within the system, be much more consistent in how we move items throughout the system, as well as it even creates much higher performance because we can move at much faster rates on the conveyor. So all in all, a tray allows us much simpler system design. All right, the second point that makes trays a great addition within the automation system is that it increases the overall conveyability of the items within your SKU set. Items that typically are small that might bounce around or fall in between rollers, items that are liquid or are stretch wrap oftentimes get excluded from the automation. When you have a tray, the beautiful thing is you can take this item, you put this on the tray, and now you're really just conveying the tray and you don't worry about the packaging type anymore. So what that allows for is it allows for the overall handling of the items within your system to be much more consistent, error and damage free, and leads to a much smoother, much more consistent overall flow of goods within the automation. So the third main benefit of trays within the automation is that it allows you to handle multiple cases on a tray. So what this does is this means that for every one storage position you have within your ASRS, it allows you to leverage that singular storage position to store multiple units. I can take these three cases and I put them on the tray. And in traditional systems, you would have to store a singular case for every single position that you have because you're just moving that case around. In the situation of the tray, right, I can have these 3 boxes of pasta on this tray, and so I am now leveraging that singular storage position with these 3 units of inventory. When we need now the inventory for packing, to ship out, to go out to our customers, we're able to take just what we need, whether that's 1, 2, 3 different items at a time, and then we put the tray back into storage with the residual items ready to be picked from again. So the last point I want to talk about is what do we do with the trays when we don't need them anymore within the system? You know, people might think, I don't really want trays. I'm going to have to handle them. I'm going to have to deal with them. I'm going to be moving them around in the facility. And that's the beautiful thing about automation is it's all handled automatically. So the moment you're finished with this tray, when it's empty, it goes away, right? And it goes on the conveyor system, goes into a buffer where they get stacked up and they're held until they're needed again. Once they're needed, the same system that you just sent it to for storage will actually pull it out and will deliver it to exactly where you need it, whether that's to an automated system that is putting cases directly on the tray, or that's to an individual who's actually doing it manually. What happens if I have a spill? The beautiful thing is that we can account for that. So let's say we have our gravy here that we saw before, and somehow this gravy gets opened up, right? And you get gravy all over your tray. Now this tray is dirty. What do, right? We don't want to send this back into the buffer covered in all this messy gravy. What actually ends up happening is this goes through a camera system. And that camera system can identify when there are items on this tray that shouldn't be there, that it looks different than, say, an empty tray would. And in that case, what we do is we just take this tray and we send it into a hospital area. And in that area, there's a person there who is trained now to clean these trays, keep your area nice, clean, sanitary, so that way you don't have any issues with any potential spills or issues with items on the tray that shouldn't be there. Hopefully you've seen how these 4 points illustrate how trays save the day within an automated system. To find out more about trays or automation in general, please reach out to us or visit our website.